Welcome back to another digital unboxing. My name is Hafid and today we have this ExplosiaFx deformer support project example. I don't have updates for this week yet, so let's just get straight to it. I'm just gonna go ahead and open this box, which by the way I got here from the Cinema 4D content browser. They have free models that you can use, and I'm just gonna use this for the unboxing. I'll open up this box. I'm really excited about this one because we're able to deform now the smoke, the explosions. There was a project file example before. It basically allows us to deform the oceans and the water, and that one was pretty cool, so I'm just excited to look at this one. As always, we just have some quick documentation telling us the name of the project, Explosia Deformer Support 01, meaning they have more to come. I don't know. Compatibility, just so you have the right software to create basically this render example that they're giving you. This is just a way for them to show you what you can accomplish, you know, with the plugin that you're buying from them. And I just think that is really cool that they actually give you examples with the software. I don't know, I don't see that a lot. As you can see, we have this tube, which by the way is animated, and the smoke is going to be going animated with the tube itself. And I assume that we will be using the native deformers from Cinema 4D, so maybe this is going to use a twist or even a bend. I'm not sure, maybe a twist. That one seems like it's appropriate. And then this was rendered with Cycles 4D, but I might be able to just do it with Octane. I know the Octane can render smoke. You can obviously do it with Redshift, but as well this is most compatible with Cycles 4D. That was the second thing, and the very last of course is just the project itself. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hide the box. That was just to show you the unboxing and activate the camera. We have 140 frames for the animation, and I'm just going to play it and see what we have. Okay, I see the tube now, it's bending, the smoke is coming out, nice. Okay, yeah, and it's following the shape. Oh yeah, that's cool. As the tube is contracting, the smoke is also like contracting with the tube, so I don't see it colliding with the shape. So maybe this is not a container, maybe this is just like, or maybe it is colliding. I cannot really see. And I think that this is also using the new features for the ExplosiaFx, where you have this OpenGL, which is basically just letting you see the smoke in this native viewport of Cinema 4D. So that's really cool. Frame 96 is a good point to do our render check, just so we can confirm that this actually works in Cycles 4D. So I'm gonna go ahead and open my preview, attach it here to the side. And this is the look that we are getting. You do see the smoke, we see the fire, and let me bring out the example just so we can compare it. Frame 64 works a lot better. Yeah, it looks closer to the image, and you're just gonna have to play around with the lighting if you want to achieve the same effect. It's not gonna look exactly the same. They obviously did some post-editing work on this, but it looks pretty close to it, and I can see that this is working fine. Now it's time to open up this animation and see what is actually going on under the hood. We have two bounding boxes. I don't know what these are for, and if I play the animation, you can see that this cylinder is going to be contracting, and it becomes kind of like that helix shape. In the object stack we have dynamics, and there is our ExplosiaFx, and oh, it's actually a spline wrap. Yeah, this thing is a spline wrap. Okay, we don't have an emitter, we have a generators, which is a sweep. It's not an X particle generator, it's just a normal Cinema 4D generator. As you can see, it's just a sweep object. Maybe they just added it there just so they can keep it organized. The next thing that we have is the utilities. We have a sphere, and here we have the source of the explosion. This ExplosiaFx source tag is telling our sphere to basically be the source of our flame, but I cannot see it burn. And then we have a helix, another helix, and then a rail. And this is something that confused me for a second. We have over here our source, which is the sphere, but then the actual burn is happening over here on the left with the ExplosiaFx. Now, if we take a look at the ExplosiaFx itself, if I go ahead and select it over here on the object menu, and then if I move it around, it's moving on the opposite side. But then I remember that we have this spline wrap, so the position of the ExplosiaFx is going to be according to what the object of the spline wrap, the spline, is referencing to. In this example is the helix, and also we have two helixes, so naming convention is not conventional. So I think it's the second one. And if I move the helix, you can see that this is what's guiding our explosion. Maybe they did this on purpose, so in the actual render, usually like your object source is going to show, and this way you don't even see it, because it's not even, you can actually move the position of it without moving its actual source. So that's pretty cool. You might see a blob of fire because of the sphere, but I mean, it's nothing compared to like having to hide the sphere itself, or just finding like a different frame where you don't see it. The modeling and animation of this container is taken care of by, if we go to the generators, the container, our sweep, is created with an end side and a helix. I was wondering why they have an end side, because usually it's a circle. If you want to do a sweep of an object, you have the spline and then the circle, but here they're using an end side, so maybe they just want to give you flexibility of that, or maybe that's how they learn how to make a sweep. So you have that flexibility of just reducing the sides and giving this just like a more low poly shape. So that's how you model this container. You have the sweep, again, you have the end side, which is going to be driven by the actual spline. In this case, we have a helix. And if we look down at the object tab of the helix itself, you can see that they have animated the radius, the end radius, and the height. If I go back to the first frame, the radius is on 0, as well as the end radius, and the height is set to 2000. As we go throughout the animation, I think the radiuses are increasing and the height is decreasing. The next thing that they did is they actually just copied this helix and just paste it over here in the utilities, and this is the second helix that we have, which is the one that is referencing the spline wrap, and is, you know, there's the one that allows us to move this ExplosiaFx. So it's the same helix. As you can see, the animation is basically the same thing. This one does have a cycles for the curve, which I didn't really see it in the animation and the render, and this one also has an emission tag, so I'm gonna double check that once we check the render again. And then we have this rail, which is another helix, but it's not animated. No, it's not animated, but it is also referenced here on the spline wrap, so I don't really know how that works, but it's working. And that is everything from our animation. We have our animated spline, our container itself, which you create the geometry with the Cinema 4D native generator sweep generator, and then from there you have a sphere, which is the source of the ExplosiaFx. So let's go back and activate that again. And at the beginning I was confused because usually the ExplosiaFx is a pink color, but it's actually blue. The way they did it, they go to ExplosiaFx display tag, and then here you can choose the color that you want. Also, here's where you set up the OpenGL so you can see it in the Cinema 4D viewport, and from here you can change the transparency of the smoke. We cannot see it right now because on the sweep and the container itself you add a Cinema 4D display tag, you activate it, and they had it on lines mode, so they can actually see the smoke going through the container. If I play the animation again, and let's say I'll stop it at around 40, 50, maybe even high this container. Here you can change the transparency of the simulation itself, and on the slices, maybe if it's running too slow, put it on 64. Or if you want to see more detail of it, obviously increase it 1024, just so you get a better representation of the smoke itself. But that is pretty much it. I don't get why we need a cycles object expression in order to see this on the renderer. So I'm gonna open up the preview again, and if I take that off, we can still see it. Let me activate the lights and the environment again. Yeah, we can still see the smoke, so I don't know why we need that tag, but I'm just gonna keep it just in case. Oh, and the other one I wanted to check was, why do we have a emissive helix if we have the fire itself being the emission source, you know? So let me just hide the ExplosiaFx from the render. I don't really get why we have this emissive helix if a lot of the light is coming over here from our materials. But again, maybe I messed up and that was supposed to be deactivated. But why even have it? It doesn't matter. But there you have it, back to where it was when we started. The last thing that I just couldn't figure out is the smoke itself. I don't know if it's colliding with this container. I don't see any collision tags on the container itself. Maybe ExplosiaFx doesn't even know it because of the spline wrap, and if there's any like smoke or fire leaking out of your container, maybe you just have to make that radius just big enough so it doesn't leak. Let's say if I put this to like 20, yeah, you just have to create a container big enough to contain that smoke. But this is also a cool look, you know. Maybe you change this material to like a metallic and you have like smoke like coming out of it, like some clouds. I don't know, that's up to your creativity. But since we're using a sweep to drive the animation of the smoke, right now they have a helix, but it can be any spline. So I might consider to make a custom spline, maybe use, I don't know, the star, maybe this schizoid, but you can also use text. So maybe you can create an animation of a text that is flowing, is, you know, being written by hand, but then the smoke is inside, or it's, I don't know, it's made out of smoke. I don't know, I'm getting too excited. If you want to see that animation though, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. That is hafid.particles. That's the account that I have dedicated to just upload everything that comes out of my mind whenever I analyze, whenever I do these unboxings. If you didn't notice yet, I'm not an expert in Xparticles. I'm just a regular user, and I'm unboxing this product examples just to show people what they can do, because I had this license for Xparticles and I wasn't even aware of the content repository. So hopefully I encourage you to just go ahead and try it out, because you are paying for it. So go ahead and just make something really cool, add it to your professional projects, get some of those clients, and just let me know on Instagram or down in the comments if you have any questions. This was the unboxing of the ExplosiaFx deformer support. My name is Hafid, and I'll see you on the next video.